everyone. My name is Divya. So today we are here for another session, workshop on the art of building a brand. Our speaker is my dear friend and a social media influencer, Ms. Anooja Bashir, CEO and co-founder of Flexicloud. And she is a serial entrepreneur with over 20 years of corporate experience across India and GCC countries. She exemplifies various roles, including CEO, women empowerment enthusiast, women leader, business leader, brand custodian, marketing strategist, and business coach. Anuja's visionary leadership has earned recognition from Forbes for her entrepreneurial drive and strategic prowess. A warm welcome to you, Anooja.
Thank you.
And warm welcome to all the participants for joining us today. Before we begin, I would like to share some updates on our programs. This is important initiatives of TIE. One is TIE Women. This is a pitching competition by TIE Global. This is an important initiative exclusively for women entrepreneurs. I want to highlight a few of the forthcoming programs apart from this as well. This TIE Women is basically it's a pitching competition, as I mentioned. This is application is currently open. The deadline is June 15th. So I request all of you to share with your friends and acquaintances about this program, TIE Women. And my colleague Jose and Nikhil is here, and you will get more info about the program. Another important program this week, this coming 24th of this month, coming Friday, there's Coffee Pay Charcha session by C. Padma Kumar, one of the co-founders of Tirumo Pen Call, one of the biggest success story of Kerala. It's a great learning for you all. So I would request you all to kindly join for that important program, Coffee Pay Charcha. Thank you, and over to you, Anooja.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. Did the rain make you kind of lethargic? I know the traffic was very huge. It took me around an hour to reach here. Usually it is like 30 to 45 minutes. So basically, I call myself very creative because time management is something which I cannot do. So I heard one of a very great leader saying that, which is actually leaders should never say that you can't manage time, because time is a very, very inevitable thing. I usually keep trying to practice time management, but instead I recreated a new phrase. People who are creative cannot manage time very well when you do multitask. This is just a joke. Yeah, so we'll start from here. So to begin with, before what is branding, I like to give you a clear picture of what exactly is branding, because people do have a myth that branding is something that is connected to creating a logo, maybe designs, maybe connected to creating a website. Actually, that is not what is branding all about. For example, it said that it's an actual fact that if you're not getting clients, or if you're not, if your brand or your product or a service, you can't call it a brand unless your targeted audience approve yourselves that you are a brand, because they are the ones who make sure that you are a brand. Now the question is that if your venture, which is either in the product sector or in the service sector, if this visibility is not reaching them, then for sure something is wrong with your marketing. Now the question is that if people have somewhere heard about you but they are not choosing you, then really you'll have to understand the fact that there is a problem in your brand positioning. I mean, branding is the actual problem. So, to begin with, if I take that, you see two logos out here. I would like to have more this as an interactive session. You see two logos out here. If I take that word, Nike and Hilton from there, can you tell me what is the difference between both? Any answer would do. Just yes. Why? Correct. If I take even Nike out here, even with the swoosh, we can identify that it's Nike. But in case of Hilton, you will have to, with that Hilton logo alone, you can't identify it. Now, what if Hilton is a chain of hotels actually, luxurious chain of hotels. So, if Hilton starts a sportswear, would you think will there be people to buy it? Anyone? Yeah, you don't think so. But what if Nike starts a chain of hotels? Again, under the brand Nike.
That would be interesting.
Yes, that will be interesting because after all, it is Nike. Because what is a thing that runs behind your loop? Hilton chain of hotels cannot start a sportswear. I mean that there's an entry market for them there. They're very good in their niche because they're chain of hotels. Hilton is known for their chain of hotels. But when they enter the new different market, they do have a market entry. But on the other hand, like you said, when Nike enters a chain of hotels, people would be curious. It's kind of like, oh my god, it's interesting. Nike, a sportswear brand entering a chain of hotels, hospitality sector. The first thing that will strike every individual would be, oh my god, that's interesting. It's just because of the fact Nike is a brand. It's a brand. The way in which it is influenced or impact people. It doesn't mean Hilton is not a brand. Hilton is a brand, but unfortunately it is not positioned in the way Nike is positioned. That is the reason why it's difficult for them to have a market entry. I'm just making you understand how a brand is evolved because it's the influence of the people or the trust, the credibility the audience have on your venture or your product or your service that makes yourself a brand. Next. Okay. Now I'll just tell you the difference between basic logo and a brand. So we call it like that. A normal service or product, if it has a logo, we call it logo. But on the other hand, like Arun said, Nike swoosh, it's a brand. Because even without writing anywhere, we can understand it is that because you're familiar with it. Because the brand has evolved over the years among the psyche of the people. So branding has a lot of things to do with the psyche of the people. Because ultimately, more than the quality of what you produce, for example, I'll put it, you have created an amazing quality product. Unless you have an audience who use it, at least a first-time customer, will your quality be known or not? No way, because unless somebody uses your stuff, nobody will be aware of the fact that it has quality. So we can't say that quality is not a criteria. Definitely quality is a criteria, but unfortunately, the first attractive feature takes a lot of impact on it. So quality definitely on a long-term run for a consistent development of any venture, whether it is like I said, product or service, quality matters, especially when it is on a long run. But when it comes to branding, the approach, how we take it, how do we play with the psyche of your specific target audience, it matters a lot. Even if Sometimes people don't agree, the conventional marketers don't agree, but times have shown us that how branding has evolved, how even personal branding has gone to a level where how you can position yourself, because when you become a brand, when you speak, when you put across something, that's heard. That's the power of brand. So coming to normal life cycle of logo is always in a price conscious market. That's what I said, even in the service industry or in the product industry. When it is a normal kind of, when you're not creating that features of how to be positioned like a brand, what happens is that you always have to be in that price conscious market. That means your targeted audience will negotiate with you to reduce your price. But if you are a brand, for example, you go to an iPhone store, you go to a Samsung store. Can you go and ask them, listen, I'll buy 2 iPhones. Can you give me 20% discount? Will that work? That's a simple example of a brand. Can you go to an iPhone store? Will that work? Never even heard of. So the thing is that when it is a brand, it's a brand. Why people use Michael Kors? Because that's the way how brand has been evolved over years. When somebody wants it, you don't look for the money. Instead, you want it because it is a brand. So the first criteria, brand never works in a price conscious market, but logo always works in a price based market. No value creation. Because when it is a brand, there is something which you are supposed to give your audience. For example, a normal service. That's why many of the, one of the reasons why which MSMEs are pivoting into startup is also because of this reason. Because when you are pivoting or evolving it into a startup, the same service, you are bringing some kind of added value. It doesn't mean that MSME doesn't have a value, but sometimes it becomes so in a cliche segment where anybody and everybody is giving the same thing. So what are you giving something which makes your targeted audience or your existing customer believe that, okay, I will stay here, whatever is it. Because when it is a brand, people using iPhone, it is very hard for them to use a Samsung phone. That is because that's a power of brand. A person who is using a Nike shoes, it's very difficult for him to use even a Puma shoes. So the thing is that when people are in the brand conscious market, they are kind of obsessed or they are kind of clinged with that brand. So whatever I am talking is of major brands, but there is a criteria even in which we can also position our product or service into the brand level. Because here also the secret is very simple. Though it requires a lot of tedious process, but the logic is simple. You need to position in such a manner that your audience, it should go into the psyche of your audience that, yes, I'm going with them. I'm going to buy this. Because if you can crack that psyche, then the next moment, you're stepping towards the path of building a brand. Now, red ocean theory and blue ocean theory. I hope many of you might know what is a red ocean theory and a blue ocean theory. So, in a red ocean theory, there's I could give an analogy with a ball of fish in a small, even in a fish tank, let's suppose. When there are too many fishes, what happens is that they fight over each other, and what happens is that there's a bloodbath out there. So that particular, because everybody are competing with each other, because they can't survive. Because when there are too many people on the same place, you're not creating a specific niche. Specific niche means something that you can showcase of your own. When you don't have that, the problem is that you are in that price conscious market where every service starts negotiating. And you know what you're doing to that particular quality product of yours? You're bringing it down because everybody negotiates, because the product might range in a category of maybe 25 rupees. But what happens is that each of the each of the vendor, when they sell to the client, they go for 15, 10, and finally it might come to a level where somebody is ready to offer 5 rupees. That is what I think most of you might have encountered that. Because when you are with a quality product, someone else bargain there and they pitch it for much reduced price, and the end result is that you lose a sale for sure, but the problem is that in a market you are reducing the product's price. That's what happens in the real estate industry also. It's the brokers who pull down the value of land. So you can understand that why is it essential that you build your venture or firm towards a brand. Somewhere people think that just by designing, just by giving to designers, you're building a brand. Trust me, that's a wrong myth, because only people, strategists means who are those people who can conceptualize your brand to your idea, aligning with the psyche of your targeted audience. For example, there is a set of audience you have. You have an idea, but somewhere there is a communication gap. What these strategists do for you is that, people like me, they do is that they crack that algorithmic code and they make it like in a simple, the binary converted into in a very familiar language, not a Hebrew language, which people can understand it in a simple way where your audience accept you. So this is the problem. But mere designers cannot do that because their expertise in designing, they can't conceptualize it or they can't strategize it, because strategy is a big criteria in business. Unless you have a short strategy, whether it is a brand strategy, whether it is a business strategy, whether it is a marketing strategy, unless you are not clear with it, please don't go even to the digital marketing process. This is another thing. If you have approached an agency, don't go by the, that false, some cliche dialogues which we say, okay, I'll do digital marketing for you, you spend this much money. They show you some kind of analytics with a big chart. Somewhere you are fooled out there, because that analytics, I am sure, has anybody gone through has anybody done digital marketing out here? Anybody? Yes. You've seen that analytic chart they show you, right? So the fact is that there'll be a number of audience who have seen it. Other than that, they'll show you some graph and chart. Trust me, you can't decode it. If you could decode it, you would not be making them do it. So that is a problem. Don't do digital marketing unless you have a right strategy, because digital marketing and the rest of all the other, it's called the implementation side of marketing. So unless your marketing strategy or strategic marketing side is clear, is having a clarity, don't do the tactical implementation. You understood the difference between tactical implementation and the strategy part. Strategy is basically the plan, the vision, what you want. Implementation side is a step-by-step missions. So unless you don't have a clarity of the other side, don't get to this B side, because there is a procedure for everything. Sometimes we are ready to take that step of spending how much ever money you want, because we want leads. Leads is not something, because digital marketing is also kind of gamble, where they are targeting an audience. If they pick the bait, you get that leads. The problem is that, are you sure it is a quality lead? So that is the reason why, before doing any kind of this tactical implementation, you must ensure that you have your vision. What is that you want? What is that you want from your targeted audience? What is the minimum price at which you will sell your product or your service? And the basic thing is that you have to understand that gone are those days when we used to do market segmentation based on behavioral data, based on transactional data, based on demographic data. These are all old terms. But from my understanding, especially our Keralite sector or the South sector, we are still in that same frame. The fact is that there's something called ICP. It's called Ideal Customer Profile. Unless you are not targeting your ideal customer, Because your ideal customer will definitely will be needing your service. That is the reason why it is called your ideal customer. So instead of going and beating around the bush, there is a small story in Mahabharata. Drona says to Arjuna, he says to all the princes, but all the princes. When he asked a question prior to for them to aiming, Arjuna was the only person who said that I see the eyeball of the bird. So he said shoot, and it pierced to the eye of the bird because rest of the people were seeing the tree, were seeing the sky, were seeing everything around them. That is a problem. Unless your focus is right, you can't. Unless your target is set, you can't aim the right thing. That's the same with what I said is understanding your audience, knowing your audience. So, this is a generic awareness I'm giving you because somewhere branding is also connected to marketing. Okay. So coming to the red ocean thing. So when everybody fights, it becomes a bloodbath, and that is called a red ocean. It's a kind of theory. Red ocean theory is a theory, or it's kind of like a framework in which marketers evolve things. So you have to understand whether your product is in a red ocean, is based on a red ocean theory, or your concept is based on a red ocean theory, or there is something called blue ocean theory, where there will be only one fish in a clear water, but it will be different from you don't want to be in that fight. You will create something of your niche. But it is very difficult, but if you can do it, then you are adopting a blue ocean approach, which actually gets you more client and a filtered client. It's more quality based. Again, no loyalty. Like I said, people who use iPhone, people who use Nike, they are always loyal to the brand. Whereas in case of the normal kind of service or product, they'll be never loyal. Somebody else is giving it a much reduced price, they'll go for that. Limited product innovation, that is the worst thing because you don't have anything to showcase. Because like every other, you see on the picture, right? So many people standing and one white icon or one pond coming up telling what makes you stand out. You might have seen that kind of posters. So the same thing. You need to come up with something, otherwise you are in the race where everybody is doing the same race. Your client or your customer cannot identify you, and then the business would be in a serious threat because competition is there before also, now also, and now it is getting tougher, harder because innovation is happening every then and now. Next slide. Okay, let's speak about brand now. Like I said, it's not in a price conscious market because you are making a promise, a commitment to your audience. And you know what? This commitment is something which your client or your customer believe in. You might have got those customers where they are buying once from you, they are always buying from you. They have never gone to anybody because that is a kind of bond or that is a kind of relation you have built them over years. Because they believe that what you can deliver, no one else can deliver. That's called a commitment. Somewhere if you can create, but that is again your existing customer. I'm speaking about your existing customer. What about your new customer? So how do you convince or you make sure that the targeted customer or your probable customer, how you can convince him that yes, we are giving you a commitment, you can be there with us because what we give, nobody else can give. Again, value versus commodity. Your product is not a commodity anymore. It has something to give a value which nobody can give you, and that value is something which you crave or you want. No matter how the cost is, you will give because that value you won't get it. Sometimes we say, no, this is class. I can't stoop below the class. I'll buy this. Maybe you will take some product in that class, but you don't go below that class because somewhere you're obsessed with that kind of okay, I want a premium thing. You don't compromise on quality for your kids. You don't compromise on products for your family. So these are the reasons why value matters a lot. How do you provide value? That depends upon how your marketing department, or you yourself as a founder, or you yourself as a founder can come up with some sort of strategies where you create a value which again, like I said, this is all about not you just simply telling you, because we can say anything in marketing. The problem is that sometimes what we see, are we sure we can deliver? And always understand, it is not what we are telling our customer, it is what customer believes. What customer want to hear matters. It is not what we say matter. It's always we have to convert that language, what the customer want to hear. So every time when you frame a content, how my audience or the feed or the how my people comment over there, from that I understand what is that exactly they want to hear from me. I rewrite that thing. So every time, that's the same. So I'm just quoting with an example of a content. This is similar to that of business as well. It's not how you want to tell your customer, telling on a direct speech. This is what I sell, A, B, C, D, E. This is the premium segment, this is the effort. Never put it like that. Nobody is interested in to hear that, because every other is putting in your competitor wise, everybody is putting the same. What is that you are saying which is not different from them? So that is where, again, like I said, how you position matters. This word called position matters in business because, like I said, competition is everywhere. People pay premium for brand. Like I said, when it comes to brand, people never bother about money. You can connect with the ask of your customer. Again, like I said, never give your service or product based on what you give. It never works like that. Even startup, I'm a startup mentor too. I've seen certain pitches where people talk about what their services or what they want to give. It never works like that. You have to understand the ask of the customer. Understand the ask of the customer, understand the problem, and then give your product or your whatever you're selling, service or whatever it might be. Give it as a solution. But there also you have to highlight the problem part where even, see, that problem might exist. But the fact is that you have to highlight that problem, because each time you need to hit the psyche of your customer, that problem exists and we are the solution for it. It doesn't mean that it is not there, the customer is not aware of. But you have to, that's called recall. There's a word called recall. If you see in advertisements, each time they come and say, why do singing artists and this film stars come and say the same thing again and again? Before every movie or kind of like, every particular big event, these branded ads come in. Why they come again and again is that each time they say, somewhere it is striking in her brain, and each time it is repeated, that loops work as a recall. So that is the reason why whenever you speak about your service, never speak it straight. Who am I? I am providing this. Never talk about that. Talk about a problem first. Then talk about I do this solution and my venture is into this. Try this out and then you will experience this, how it works. Next. Okay. Like I said, brands are the powerhouses that tell compelling stories. Why compelling story is that? Because these days you have seen everybody is into storytelling. See, again, business is not storytelling. That is another stupidity, I would say. I don't believe, see, it's not a story, but any concept, if you wanted to make it more interesting, same concept, what you want to speak to someone or what you want to communicate to someone. What happened? Yeah, what you want to communicate to someone, you can put it in form of a narration, because whenever you speak in a format of something that is realistic, because whenever you are speaking on a hypothesis or a theory, it's a theory. You can't connect it to something. But whenever we talk about something that is realistic or that is logical, which is again connected to a narrative. That is the reason why we say that whenever you tell anything about your service, you can connect your testimony of a client, of how you provided solution to them. That matters because it has a narrative. So that is so story is not artificially made. It is the actual realistic experience which has happened between the transaction between you and your customer, which you format as into a story, and then when the world hears it, they hear it better because your voice has power then. That's the reason why it's called compelling stories. Okay. Also influences other products. Yeah. The same thing we were speaking about. Nike, when it enters into a new market, it influences because Nike, that's the power of a brand. Next slide. Again, see, some of the content is very iterating because whatever I'm speaking is coming again and again. Like it shapes your brand identity, shapes the brand direction, uniqueness. Like I said, just I mentioned, what is that you have to give? What makes you different from rest of your competitors? What is that in your niche domain which makes your product or your service special and some catch? There needs to be some kind of hook. Okay. When there is a brand identity, you have a stronger chance of creating a strong brand. So I'll speak about brand identity once it comes. Next. No. Okay. So how do you position yourself as brand? So simply building a design, creating brand collaterals, creating marketing collaterals, because everything. So there are three processes in branding. One is brand building, second one is brand positioning, third one is brand management. So the first part of brand building is, like I said, it starts from your brand identity. Usually in a design perspective market, people call it a logo. So never go for a logo. We need to go for what is called as brand identity, which I will explain in the coming slides. But before that, I would like to say that how can you position your brand? There are three ways in which you can position your brand. You can define your brand by words. Like I said, what is the problem? The product or your service is a solution to a problem which somebody is facing. Who is a somebody now? Who is a somebody? Who would be the somebody? The customer, the targeted customer. So we have to curate or filter that statement as in how the customer want to hear it. That is called how do you define your brand by words. Next. So don't say in a direct sentence, I provide this, because everybody will say the same thing. Instead, you speak on a particular problem, because that is a particular problem which actually your customer face. Yes or no? Wealth management. If you put directly into the wealth management, there are hundreds of banks, there are hundreds of investment bankers. You can't catch it up. I mean, you can't sell your stuff. Am I right? But if you put it in some way that managing your wealth is hard. Right? Because everybody is talking about depositing, everybody is talking about mutual funds, but who is there to tell them where should they put and how are the benefits that is coming? So there a wealth manager or a consultant can help you. So the way in which you rephrase it, it matters. So then your customer will hear you. Why exactly I need you? So every time, always you have to think whenever you talk in a meeting or whenever you talk especially when you're when you're doing a deal, always ensure that you have to emphasize on the need of your customer. Because the more you talk about the need, he will come closer to you. The more you talk about it, the more you talk in the way you are putting your brand as something. I can do this, I can do that. The moment you are pushing your brand away. It's like physics, normal physics. When you pull it, you have the control of the rope. When you are pushing, the problem is that you can't control it. Even you are in that force. Marketing is like an inbound marketing approach. It's like attract people. So the talk is way that the customer come closer to you. He feels that, oh, this is my need, this is my requirement. Because the moment he feels that this is his requirement, naturally he is the one who's going to, he is coming to negotiate. Sorry, for their need. But when you're pushing too much, when you're kind of like talking majorly on what we want to give, you become desperate. The moment you become that desperate person, the client also understand that who is on the bait, who is actually on the bait. We are on the bait. Client is not on the bait. So, see, this is a simple logic. Everything is in psyche. We all know that. But unfortunately, the problem is that the more we are coming into a conventional marketing, we think that is very easy. But you have to understand something. The business that was 5 years ago, that is not the status of today's business. When there were 10 companies, today there are 1,000 companies. So the competition is so high that what you deliver matters. Next. So this is something which you have to understand basically when you build a brand, that is called brand identity. So in branding, we never use the word called logo. We call it brand identity. So brand identity is divided into two factors. One is called core identity and other is called the visual identity. So what is core identity? So brand identity, so before that I'll just tell you the definition of what brand identity is. It is the unique association of values defined by the brand owner answering the question of who is this brand in order to establish the right relationship with the right customers. Don't go by that definition. Just check those keywords. Right relationship, right customers, brand owner. We are creating a triangle. Okay? So brand identity is something which gives us if you take your service or your product as a person, then you can understand. Because most of the time we think a product or service is a non-living it. Give it a feeling if it is a person. If it is a person, what do we do? Because your customer is not coming to you because of your product or your service. Somewhere it is coming to you because of who you are, who the founder is. Because trust is always empathy, sympathy, compassion, relationship. Everything is based on human relationship. So everywhere the face of the brand matters. So that is the reason why we always have to create a brand identity is something if your service or product has a personality. A brand identity should be required, right? That is exactly what you have to give it in your every element that you use in your product or service, from your social media, from your website, from any collateral, from your brochure, from anything that you create, you must ensure that your brand identity is clear. Now, how you create a brand identity, I'm going to emphasize on that. Next. Okay. Core identity. So this is something which people do not notice because people are always thinking about the visual identity. Like I said, designers can create the visual identity part because they are very good with designs. They know how to do the mix and match of colors. But core identity is something which normally people cannot do because here even a strategist cannot create a core identity unless with the help of the business owner or the founder. Because the person who founded it, the person who has created it, only knows what is the core message, what he wants to give to the customer. Do I make sense? Oh my god, I hate non-interactive audience. Do I make sense?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, thank you, huh? That means a lot. Yeah. So basically, core identity is it's called the essence, the DNA. Because if I tell you in our body, everything starts with what? What? What is the smallest
Cell.
cell? So cell, atom. Okay, sure. Okay, let's put it cell or atom, whatever. Yeah. Even I am forgetting, the more you are climbing into the niche, no, you are somewhere getting your basic stuff. Does it happen to you? It happens to you?
I haven't reached there.
Oh my god, I'm kind of reaching there, dude. So, yeah, because now I'm confused. I didn't sell tissue, I'm working on my science classes. Yeah, so coming to that core identity part, it's a basic DNA. So, the DNA is something only which the founder, even maybe you have a legacy business, which was started by your father, great father, there is a DNA to it. Definitely there is a DNA to it. But how far you have improvised it? For example, I'll tell you, we talk about nepotism, right? We have seen that star kids says, we come with some normal artists say that, it's because they are star kids. The fact is that even legacy business also, it might be started by great grandfathers or fathers, but still, for you to be in that business, even the sons, even the daughters, even the granddaughters, grandsons, still they are doing their best. Otherwise, they won't persist. They won't be there. So let's not think that somebody was already there just because they were already there. Of course, it gives them an advantage of they entered in the market earlier. But to prevail, to compete, still it's a competition.
A business owner. I'm from a company called Castle. I'm a group consultant.
Okay, I know it. Okay, so if I ask you what is the basic essence of that company?
IT consulting, that's what we do.
Again cliche. Never say that. You should say that digital transformation. No, you can't say that. You said IT. That was a cliche thing, right? If you would have used that, so Jabber is going to kill you for that.
Don't say it.
Okay, I will say. Okay. So the fact is that you have to come with this, even the jargons matters, digital transformation. Because digitally transforming it into a level where those kind of stuffs, what they do is that, if you say, I am an IT consultancy, oh my god, if you go to Google search and put IT consultancies of Kerala, 19, 20, 25, 65 pages it might come. But digital transformation consultancies, it matters. So you understood what is the essence of DNA meant now? I just gave you with an example. So coming to the DNA, you have to, so where do you use this DNA? Where do you bring up this core identity? Can anyone tell me? In a logo, where is that essence of DNA you come up with? Arun is also into this, somewhere into this field. So oh, Midka, yes. I know my friends are getting smarter day by day. Yeah? Arun ka nil parayenge. Illa. Achha. So smart people. Huh? Okay, so tagline is something where we can use this core message. For example, anything that comes below your logo. For example, if you ask me, one of my venture, Oriya, that's basically, we didn't put it in a niche. If we could say that we build brands, we craft stories, we build brands. We could come with that thing. But unfortunately, we are not in that niche. So, what we came with? We put a tagline, designing your vision into reality. You know what? With that, every service we cover, whether it is branding, whether it is designing, whether it is web development, because we didn't want to pull a niche. It was more kind of a 360-degree business. So I came with a core DNA where every vision that comes to us, through various services we do, we put it into that vision into reality. Now, if you take my second startup, we didn't want to bring up with too much complication. Instead, we went into a simple statement, the managed cloud hosting, Flexicloud, the managed cloud hosting. Because in Flexi itself, I put that Flexi word to show that we are flexible to you, we make cloud affordable to you by being flexible to you. Because it was there already in the name of the logo. So anywhere you put, I just set an example which I have come up with. Like that, if you can think your own companies, where exactly you are bringing this DNA? Pardon? So somewhere you bring up with a tagline. It's very important. People can understand. Sometimes people come up with so many, what do you call, idioms, proverbs, or some kind of heavenly quotes. Never do that, because if you do that, you're complicating your audience, because they're not understanding what is that you're building. See, sometimes you're doing a multiple service company. There you can bring up some kind of taglines which is not into specific niche. But if your company is into a specific niche, you must ensure that you have to bring that keyword there. That is very, very important, either in the brand name or in the tagline. Because somewhere if it is not there, how can your audience, especially a new customer, understand that you are in this field? And again, when you do your SEO, your meta tag, every simple thing matters. The problem is that when we create a brand, initially when people used to create a brand, we were looking for the registration part. Today that is also a problem, because when you go for the IP part, the patent thing, to get the trademark, again, your tagline is not sharp. The biggest problem is that your logo might be discarded. That is a big problem. So that is where these IP lawyers, they always say that create some kind of unique aspects, wherein this is not something which even a person is in that domain also does not have. So that is the reason why tagline is a very powerful statement when you bring up your core DNA. If you are not putting it in your brand name, sometimes people bring in the brand name itself. Somewhere they put the name like health, care health. So in care health, the word health itself makes an understanding that is into a health domain. So somewhere you have to bring that, the essence of your business. The essence of the DNA means the actual essence of your business, what you are into. Next. Okay. Now, if you look at this, you're familiar with this, I suppose. You're familiar with that also. If you have seen that logo, do you get any understanding of that logo? Do you see anything?
Male.
Pardon?
It's a symbol for male.
Oh my God, this is a problem with diversity here. Diversity is bring normal thing, yeah, normal stuff. What is that? Seat belt ka thing, you put it over there, right? Safety.
You're talking about the
Volvo. Volvo ഏറ്റവും വലിയ പ്രത്യേകത എന്താണെന്നറിയോ? I hope all are Mallus out here.
Volvo invented the seatbelt. Volvo invented the seatbelt 3.0.
See? This man is very knowledgeable in that.
Yeah.
Parnyo.
Volvo invented the 3-point seatbelt.
See? So now Volvo invented seatbelt മാത്രമല്ല, they put it in their logo also. Nobody can take them from them. It is eternity. For eternity their logo is like that. That means their concept is into safety. Volvo describes that they create vehicles more than appearance, like how Mercedes-Benz or Audi bring in. Volvo emphasize that we create vehicles which are safe. Understood? So that is the emphasis they bring to their core identity, in which they have implemented in their logo also. So this is not about tagline, this is about logo. Now, Dettol, if you see that sword and the thing, it's basically germ protection. That's what Dettol has come with their logo. See, these are core identity, but these are, long time back logos. Now nobody brings this picturization in the logo. These are earlier logos. At that time they created it because at that point of time, core identity was more on the logo part. But today, even without bringing too much pictorial representation in logo, people bring it in their tagline. So that is the difference between then branding and today's branding. Next. Have you seen somebody going to what do you call it? Photo cell shop and you ask them, give me a Xerox. Is it not? Xerox is a brand. Nobody asks, give me a photocopy. Now, some people, mostly men go to the supermarket and they say, give me a Gillette. Nobody goes there and asks, give me a shaving set. Rarely people say that. Now you go to like housewives and normal people, they go to shops and they ask for, I need a Colgate or a close-up. Nobody asks for, because that isn't a cliche, it's stamped in your brain. These are the words we use. For example, I asked my maid, Colgate hai kya? Because to my maid, I need to ask her that is a toothpaste there. So even she understands the language Colgate. So that is the power of these brands. Over years, we cannot change that sector. They have the impact of Colgate, Dettol. See, Savon and all came now. Even you go to the, like I said, the supermarket and you must Dettol venom. Because Dettol is not, it's a brand actually, but it is in turn it's actually a product. But the power of the brand is so high, the impact is so high that it has covered a sector as such. Same thing with Colgate, same thing with Xerox, same thing with Gillette. Huh? Fridge. So that is a power. Even Coca-Cola. People go and ask, give me a Coke. So the power of these kind of, that's how brands are involved. Now the biggest thing with Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all, people think that you can't, at that point of thing, ad was the power. See, today, the evolution of brand or brand strategy or building a brand is different from that of a decade ago. When Coca-Cola and Pepsi and all came to India, they were already a brand. They were MNCs actually. When they came into our place, how they impacted our audience was through ads. You remember the Pepsi ad where, ye hai right choice baby. That's how Pepsi came into existence. In our country. But today, even we know brands, how they have evolved. Mamaearth was not there, Sugar Cosmetics was not there, Cred was not there. How did they evolve as brand? Why should we speak about anything else? Boat. Aman Gupta is talking about how you are going to make boat international. He was telling in that National Digital Creators thing. Usually we bring in MNCs from globally to India because India is a very potential market. So they asked him what was the dream. He was telling, I want to make an Indian product, go international and people ask for this product. So that is how brands have evolved. So the thing is that so the simple message what I want to pass to everybody is that even we can make our own service and product brands. It will take time, it will take its own phase, but positioning each step matters. The question is that where do you want to position it? Regionally, nationally, globally. If it is global, your approaches are different. If it is national, your approaches are different. If it is regional, definitely your approaches are different because you are targeting local clients. Local means regional clients. Okay. Next slide. So visual identity. Coming to visual identity, it includes logo, it includes brand color. So the first thing is that whenever you make a logo, don't bring too many colors into it. There should be a primary color, there should be a secondary color. And any color other than that you use should be the shades of the primary or the secondary color. And there should be a color tone. This color tone should, or rather we call it as color palette. Any color palette you are building, that should be visually visible in any of your things you are putting it across your audience, whether even it is your business card. So don't play too much with colors, even if your designer comes with it, even if a marketing head comes with you, or even your social media stuff, because there are something called monochrome, they are called primary logo, secondary logo. Even you can change when the background is blue, you can put your logo as pure white. So there are options. It is not that, because I've seen one of my clients told me, why don't you put, instead of that logo, make it a square box and put it over there. See, logo should always be transparent. You need to pick it and place it anywhere. You can change the color of the logo. The primary logo is that matter, but the secondary logo, every time it can go according to the background of it. And there are something called monochrome for the logo as well as for black and white. So don't bother that every time you have to cut and paste a square of your logo in something which is not attached. So this is another thing. If you do that, people will understand you are not a brand, because brand will never do that. These are some of the conditions or trade-offs we call it, which a brand is never supposed to do. Next. Okay, who are the people who create brand identity? Like I said, brand strategists are the people who do it, and which includes again content writers, which include visual identity designers, all those things. Next. Okay, now I'll just explain to you how you create this brand identity. Brand identity is created in two different theories. One is called the Acre model and the other is called as a Prism model. The first one is was founded by David Acre. Second one was by the Cap-Flower Prism model. So we'll go for the David Acre model first. Okay. The Acre has got four, according to David Acre, there are four criteria in which you can create your brand identity. It's called brand as a product, brand as an organization, next, brand as a person, brand as a symbol. You might have heard of brand as product. I just talked about it now. Xerox. The power of Xerox is such a way that this product became a brand which took over the complete sector. Gillette. The power of, again, another product. Bisleri. Even you don't ask for mineral water. 5 years before, if I remember, we used to ask about, we need a Bisleri. Nobody used to ask for mineral water. So these are the examples. So you have to understand that which is the criteria you are choosing for your service or product. The first question is that, is your firm, venture, a product or service? That is the first. So you have to take a paper and pen, write it down, understand that which category you belong, service or product. If it is a product, are you going to make your product as a brand? Now the second question, you can put brand also as an organization. The simple example is Tata. Tata Salt, Tata Motors. There they have highlighted Tata because anything they create owned by Tata. That has changed because now they have taken different experiments, because Tata is always on experimenting mode. How they are doing is that they have created a premium brand in the clothing sector called Westside. Zudio they have created for Gen Zs, where they sell even in 150 rupees. So even Tata has got chain of hotels from Taj to so the thing is that still they have a brand called Tata, because more than what we remember about Tata, more than we remember about anything, Zudio they have not used the word Tata.
But Tag is coming under their company.
It is coming. But they don't use Tata Touch. Because that was a new market for them. But when they entered Tata Motors was something which they eventually, but Tata is an industrial actually, they're not business people. So when being industrialists, when they entered each market, the fact is that each generation of Tata took a new approach in the branding process. So these days, whenever Tata is bringing their brand, like Sir mentioned right now, they're not using Tata anymore. They're coming with separate niche because they've understood that people know that it is Tata's product, but they don't want to bring Tata, what do you call it? On the periphery or on the suffix part, they don't want to bring Tata. Lakme is Tata's. The story of Lakme itself is like, it was a French word actually, but how it was Lakshmi. The word Lakshmi got converted to Lakme because I don't know which prime minister, it was Nehru actually. Nehru asked Tata, can't you create a cosmetic product of India alone? That is how Tata wanted to create something where they came with their idea was to create Lakshmi. It was actually a female thing, but still they wanted to make it international. That is why they rephrased it to Lakme. But even now, many people don't know that Lakme is actually a Tata product. So Tata is there everywhere, from your kitchen where we use their salts to the vehicles we drive to the clothes we wear, because they're entering into every niche, and where they cannot enter, they invest. Tata is actually a different research brand as such to study. I mean, compared to other, but still we could put, if you ask, brand as a organization, Tata is a definite example. Next one is brand as a person. So you have seen this Mr. Muscle, that's a, what do you call, the cleaner. So these are kind of like brand as a person. Brand as symbol, Nike swoosh. Then McDonald's arc and Rinse lightning bolt. You have seen that white bolt, right? So these are the examples for brands as a symbol. So this is the 4 criteria in which Aker has put it across, how you can build your brand identity, putting into this any of these 4 categories. Now the other one is Prism model. Okay. Prism has got 6 sides. As we know, Prism, as they say, it's got 6 sides. One is the physics, personality, culture, relationship, reflection, self-image. The physics is basically how it is physically connected to a particular element. So Apple is one such brand, Coca-Cola is another one. Personality, if you see, it's not the personality that they speak. If you speak about their ads, if you see the Mountain Dew's ad, it says that डर के आगे ही जीत है. It shows a powerful masculine personality. Even Woodland shoes, it's more on a personality basis. Or even Raymond's also. So in Prism model, sometimes it can come in 2 categories. For example, self-image one. Raymond is also in the self-image one. Raymond also can belong to the second category of personality. Culture is basically Indian Airlines. If you see that, they are basically Indian Airlines. Initially, Indian Airlines also logo was changed. If you have noticed that earlier it was a Maharaja who used to give with a zan. That was how logo was created. But again, it's all on the service sector, hospitality sector, where they're showing the culture of a country. Second one is relationship. Starbucks is the specific example for that. Reflection, Colgate. If you see that the smile, where they projects the self-reflection of a person. Again, these are very closely connected. Self-image, Raymond, L'Oreal. L'Oreal is also the tagline. They have brought up the self-image of how you showcase yourself as a woman. Similarly, Raymond also is, the tagline itself is the complete man. Next. Now, don't confuse brand personality as brand ambassadors. Because of film stars, even we have a new term called influencers. Earlier they were only brand ambassadors. So brand personality is not brand ambassador. Brand ambassadors or influencers are the people who vouch for the brand. But brand personality is actually, it is a trait. It is a kind of experience or a feel which a brand shows to its audience, telling that the brand or the product or the service has got an image of its own. Next. So if you check, these are the brand personalities. Coca-Cola's brand personality shows sincerity. For example, Coke. Have you seen Coke's advertisement? Where it always shows about intimacy, friendship, family. So it's called sincerity. SPA is also, if you see the taglines, if you see their ads, it's most on the relationship, trust, everything. Cadbury's also, you have seen the new ad of Cadbury's. It's always intimacy, whether it is a love relationship, whether it is a friendship thing, whether it is basically an inside family celebration. Everything is on sincerity part. Now, if you speak about excitement, Red Bull is the first thing. It's always about the personality of that brand is always about excitement. Same thing with Mountain Dew, because that tagline, like I said, it shows that डर के आगे ही जीत है. Thumbs up is also comes under the excitement part. Apple also is something which comes under. Now competence. Competence is basically showing that you are the brand's personality is more on a competitive stuff. That means we are here to kill, or what do you call, it's like a dominance power. So, Surf Excel is an example for that. It shows that the new tagline they have come with is Daag Achhe ke liye hai. And Tiger Balm. See, these are basically, it's a competence, it's a worth. Now, if you ask about sophistication, Rolex, Gucci, everything, the luxury stuff, talks about only sophistication part. Now, ruggedness. Ruggedness means mostly it's either a masculine or kind of like a power demonstration part. If you see, Woodlands is a part of it. It's basically shoes for men. Levi's, again, it has got for the female version also, but still it's more, the personality focus mainly on sturdiness, ruggedness. So this is what is called personality. So we can also think, go and categorize our service or product in which category, somewhere it belongs to any of these, either the acre model or the prism model. Next. Yeah. Pardon? Lux would previously. Lux would go to the competence, and it also can go to a sophistication because Lux has a premium. They're coming with a premium model. No. That is again, some can clash in two categories again. Like I mentioned, personalities also can go. For example, Raymond, like I said. It also goes into self-image. I mean, not in this personality thing. In the Prism model, I said certain brands can go in both the category. Depends, but still they belong into a category.
Yeah, and it has completed a century.
Yes. Lux, right? Yes. So the power of the brand, see, 100 years. If it can sustain when every day a new soap is coming into the market. A brand has survived 100 years. That's also a power brand. But still, the influence of the brand is coming down because somewhere they're not very active. Because since you mentioned it, a brand is something which is also something which is not reaching a destination. You should always be in limelight. So in brand thing, we also have to understand that, like as they say, as I define success, brand is not a destination word. Brand is always something where you always have to be there in the limelight. The moment you are not there in limelight, however legacy you have created, there's a chance that you might get washed off. Even if you have since Lux had a very powerful legacy, even though it is deteriorating in a way, still it is surviving. Higher in legacy, higher in money power, whatever it is, if you have an innovative approach. The single thing, they concentrate on a particular niche called mothers. So everybody wanted that Santoor mummy. So somewhere, again, Pierce came with a different factor. When Santoor did that, Pierce glycerin thing came up with, again, the Santoor mummy thing in a different way. So the competition was more on that sector because women love to get that, praising factor that, oh my God, your skin looks good. So that is what the targeted customer was targeted with that simple tagline. I mean, that phrase.
Again, you said about needs. Satisfying the needs.
Needs. See, needs, again, there are in two ways needs are there. One is the psychic needs. Psyche, where your brain or your mind or your soul needs to feel. Second thing is your actual need. According to humans, your psychic needs to be, that crave needs to be subsided first. So that is the reason where brand comes in first. That is why I mentioned, with the beginning of the session I said, when your brand is not heard, then your marketing has a problem. But even when some people know that your brand exists, still they are not choosing you, then your branding has a serious problem. So that is the reason why, in every way, whether you are an existing, full throttle going company also, you should worry that tomorrow you won't prevail unless you have position in a way. Because that's what he said. Life of logo can end. Life of brand can be prevailed in such a way by bringing innovative approaches. Okay, so we all know how chess has been played. Chess is something which always is in the psyche of how you move with your competitors. The move of every competitor matters. You might have you seen that Queen's Gambit movie Netflix? There was a series called Queen's Gambit.
Psychic needs and wants.
Wants. Exactly. Wants is something because see, when somebody wants something, you will go an extra mile for it. You will pay whatever for it. So the thing is that, like rightly he mentioned, whenever you are placing your startup or your niche into any competitive segment, you always have to create something called want. The customer it's not a need, it should be a want. Because there is a huge difference between the phrases, need and want. Need is something like, I need it. But I want it, that's a different phase. Because when it comes to want, humans cannot pull it. Because want is something like it's like a vampire thing. Once you've sucked it, you can't get out of it. You're in that loop. So every time place your niche in that way that it becomes a want. Don't put it in a need, because needs can change. Want never changes. Want is always a desire, a crave. Okay. Now, how do you? So right now we were talking about brand building. Now we will talk about how do you manage your brand. So once your brand is built, your ideas are implemented, your brand equity, your brand collaterals, all these things are made next. You have to check about how, there are two things which you need to consider. One is positioning your brand. Two is managing your brand. Brand positioning is something how you move your horse in a chess. It's like how you move each of your pawns and how exactly, because depending upon the market it matters. See, you come up with a brand strategy, you make a plan, this is how my brand is going to evolve in a market, I'm going to place in a market. But sometimes there is an inevitable factor called circumstances. I suppose you have heard of something called spin theory. Have anybody heard about spin theory? No? So spin theory is a very beautiful concept wherein it's called spin, S-P-I-N. Spin means people think problem is the biggest thing. It's not actually problem that is something which is a huge crisis we have to avert. It's a situation. Situation actually causes problem. If there was not a situation like that, a problem would not have come in the first place. Now, is the problem the big thing? Is problem a huge thing?
I get what you're saying.
I was talking about a theory called spin theory. Situation leads to problem. Situation, if there was not a situation like that, the problem would not have come. Okay? Is problem the biggest crisis? Okay, I won't complicate it.
How do you generalize the problem? Because your problem is
Not correct, exactly. Depends upon people to people, situation to situation, niche to niche, and how exactly you are in that loop matters. Actually, more than problem, the impact matters. It's not the problem that terrifies us. The impact is the one that terrifies us. Because the problem, there is a problem already. The problem is not, whenever a problem comes, you're not terrified of the problem. You're terrified of the impact or the implication what the problem will come across. Am I right? That's the point. So, situation leads to problem. Problem creates implication or impact. Now there we bring up the N factor. It's called need of. Need of is your solution. So, you have to always focus on the spin theory whenever you are placing your venture or your service or solution, what product, whatever it is, you have to bring that as a need of. So whenever you place it, so that is a narrative of the story I'm telling. So whenever you talk, think of a situation leading to some problems. This problems cause this implication. If you use my solution, I am eradicating your situation as such. So people can eradicate problems, but situation only I can do it. So that makes your USP or your narrative strong. And like he mentioned, depending upon everybody's problem, but we are concerned the problems of only our targeted segment. We are not focusing on any other places. That is the reason why I said we are not focusing on market segment anymore. We are focusing on ICP, ideal customer profile. We are only speaking about our customer's problem. So, what is that situation that bringing problem to our customers? And because of, and one more thing, we need to highlight the implication. Because unless fear is created, nobody will, because whenever a threat is coming, fear is that thing which creates a lot of business. Fear is a thing that even takes us to achievement. Because fear is a consciousness somewhere. So, everywhere the implication factor should be highlighted. Because the moment you talk about that implication, people will think. Again, their psyche starts, rotating and rotating. Then they'll come to you again. Even if they don't want to take it at that particular phase, also they'll come back to you. Because this threat is always there, right? What if they don't get the solution somewhere else? So, even if a sale doesn't close that at that particular moment, you are opening that gate forever for your customers to come back. So that is where spin theory works. So in brand positioning, spin theory is somewhere which you have to come with a narrative for your targeted audience. Next. Okay. Again, these are the 4 criteria which you should keep in your mind while you make the brand position. Who is your targeted customer? So when you do your market research, this is a simple steps which you have to follow. If you are going to do a market segmentation based on demography, behavior, whatever is that, from that Excel sheet, you have to curate into your ideal customer. How do you curate your ideal customer?
We think about who you want to, cater to.
But that is again beating around bush, right? Specific or not?
You reverse it, like think about it, who could use it, and go back.
Yeah. But for that, the easiest one would be, the easiest ideal customer would be categorizing your existing client, right?
Yeah, true. That's true.
So from your existing client, you can understand that who are those people who can be your ideal customers. So somebody who is into real estate can be my client. Somebody who is into the interior can be my client. Somebody who is into the health sector can be my client. Somebody who is into technology can be, because I do branding. I'm a brand strategist. My company is into brand. Anybody who has a website and application can be my client, because he needs to get hosted, right? But that is my market segment. But if I go and do my ICP, my existing clients are, who are the ones who take? Freelancers take my hosting. I'm talking about my managed cloud hosting. Freelancers take, agencies. Agencies are the ones who take because they want to host it somewhere, right? So I got my ICP there. Now, even in the ICP itself, I can specifically curate which type of agency. Because an enterprise agency might not need me, because they might have an in-house setup there itself. So from there I curate those kind of agency who doesn't have an in-house system, but who needs a consultant. Again, second filtration. They can do this consultation elsewhere, but who will give them at an affordable rate? Me. Good.
Yeah.
So that's how you curate ICP. Am I smart?
Yeah, true.
I need your name. Okay, whenever I keep a session, please make sure this guy is there. He motivates me a lot. Yeah. Then who your competitors are. So now competitors matter because we only do competitive analysis. We don't do comparative analysis. So this is also something which we need to understand, that what are we looking from competitors? What are we looking from competitors basically? Anybody? Their offerings. Yeah. These are all general statements. More than that, the competitor, why is he ahead of me? That's right? Because we are interested in only that, because we know our strength. If we take a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, why should we bother about our strength? That is always there with us. We definitely need to know our weaknesses, that is for sure. But in a competitor, we don't need to know his weakness. More than his weakness, we need to know what his strength is. Why is he competing? What makes him? So whenever I when I build my personal brand, I started with one person. So when I cover that, that person is not in my segment. I've overcrossed that league. So every phase, so every quarterly, I create a new person's target, new competitor. So that is how you have to play. You don't have a forever competitor. Your competitor changes because as you grow, you are overtaking your competitor. So does that competitor bother you if he is trailing you? But one more thing, you should not omit them from your list because there is a chance that they might grow. So you can keep them in list, but depending upon a present competition, you have to focus on the present competitor. Why is it? What is a phase in which he is moving? What makes him different, or is his audience and my audience same? What is that he is giving, what I am not giving? Is it a price? If it is a price, I don't want to compete there because let him reduce his price. At a point, I will have that's a trade-off because in certain things I won't go beneath that point, beneath that price. If I keep that standard, maybe I might have less clients, but whichever clients I am having, he might pay 4 times my competitor. So I don't want to be in that category of a affordable or the budgeted one. Instead, I'll be in the premium one or maybe in the mid-segment one. So don't focus a cheap market. Understood? So these are other criteria which when we do your competitive analysis, because even in the same domain, you might have competitors. The question is that which segment you are competing? Are you competing in the luxury? Are you competing in the ultra luxury? Are you competing in the premium? Are you competing in the mid segment? Are you competing in the affordable one? So there is the biggest catch because sometimes you can actually collaborate with your affordable ones which you are not taking. You can give them and you can tell them premium ones I'll take, pass it on to me. So again, competition is also not the key. Collaboration is the key. So in competition itself, we can find collaboration because the synergy is that sometimes you don't get you don't find synergy among your peers itself. Sometimes with your competitors also you find a synergy because they having the same targeted audience but in different segments. So or maybe you are very good at some of your services but at other services they might not be too good. So there is a swapping of services. I have done this personally in most of my ventures, which has worked out very good for me. Because if you are only competing with the competitors, then it is tough for you to fight in the market. But if you are creating collaborators, you are taking the charge. Somewhere, even at that point also, you know where you stand. So clarity is something which you require very much. So how is your brand similar to your competitors? Again, there also variations are different. Similar, different. What makes your brand different from your competitor? In what way it is similar, how it is different. If you actually, and one more thing, never use a laptop, this is my personal suggestion, never use a laptop so you can do everything in Excel, do all kind of CRMs, all softwares later on at a stage. But when you start with a paper and pen because when you write it on a paper and pen, it stands in your brain, which cannot be eliminated that faster because there is a connection with what you write. That's the reason why still we use notepads and paper and pencil. Next.
Actually, an example of brand positioning is Maruti and Nexus.
Yes, Nexus. Right, because Maruti was catering only for the budgeted segment. But at a point of time, Maruti understood that competition is going, they didn't have competition in that field. Maruti Suzuki, Maruti Zen, Maruti Swift, till Swift they came in. After that, they could not go because the psyche of the customer was that Maruti could only create budgeted cars. That is the reason why they understood that if they come up with the same brand name, customers won't accept them. That is the reason why they bought a new brand called Nexus, which is a premium segment. So that is something which you also can do in your ventures. If your segment is known in a particular segment, you focus that particular name, brand name in that particular phase. Create some other venture under it with a new brand name, focus on a specific niche. Like I said, Zudio, Tata Zudio. It is only specifically for Gen Zs. It's okay for them. Because manufacturing takes place for the entire unit. Whatever is left and whatever they're throwing into Zudio, and that organization is so clever. Whatever waste they're throwing, that also they're making as a revenue. So it's all on the thought process. Or that's the power of business. How you see it, how you perceive it, the angle in which you penetrate what your normal people can't see. So when you're creating a brand, you'll see certain kind of perceptions, angles which you've never seen before. I'm sure after this, if you really understood what I spoke, you go and do a recheck, you'll understand what are the missing points you left. Because these were already there, but unfortunately you have not perceived or watched closely. But now when the theory is set, when you connect with it, you'll understand that, oh my god, I missed this point. Next. Okay, this is the market segmentation. Now, before we create ICP, we have to go through these 4 segments. Market segmentation. Market segmentation is not the ultimate thing which we are. This is not the ultimate curation or filtration of your customers. But unless we do this market research, we don't get your ideal customers. So, demographic way, ethnicity, gender, income, family backgrounds, these data you can get from anywhere. Psychographic, because these are general data which are available, which we can get from a market research agency. You don't need to create by yourself. But what you need to do is that filter your ICP. So once these segments are done, then the geographic thing, then the behavioral thing. Once your target market segmentation is clear, go for your ICP. Now ICP is a different session as such, because to study ICP, you need at least a 1 to 2 hour session, because it is so detailed. In detail, it tells you how do you focus your single niche customer. What is the angle which you should use to your psychographic customers only? How do you categorize each of them? Even the demographic segments, you might have 100 separate segments. So that is what ICP teaches you. Next. Okay. Marketing mix. These are the 5 P's which you have to think. Price, product, place, promotion, people. So whenever you make any new programs, campaigns, focus on these 5 parameters. Is your product right, catering to the right people, catering to the right location? Because some people who does not want to use your product, it doesn't exist. Their climatic condition doesn't suit your product. If you're bringing with a winter clothing, which is a humid place, your product doesn't suit them. So location also matters, and a promotion, the way in which you have to target. Like I said, if you are regionally targeting, you have to sometimes you have to go with a Malayalam campaign. Maybe you have to go with a Hindi campaign if you're targeting a Bhopali audience. So, but if you're targeting at a global audience, definitely it should go in English, because that's a universal language we know. So depending upon where you want to place your product, where you want your lead to come from. So these factors, when you sit with your agency while you're doing a marketing campaign, you should tell them, this is my targeted location. This is my, for this kind of promotion I need. This is the people I'm looking for. So don't bring me that analytics where you show me some graph and tell me this is the analytics. So by now you also are aware of what you want, because the customer is powerful. So there are 2 sides of it. I'm a client, I'm a vendor also. But when I become a client, I need to be very choosy because I'm paying for it. So make it in your head that whenever you become a client, whenever you're going to be a vendor, are you getting the quality bread? At least the money you pay, is it worth? If it is high, if you're getting worth, pay it more because it is bringing more money, no? For example, if you're paying 100 rupees, 5 rupees is 5 rupees is spent, then there is a two thing, 5 rupee or 50 rupees. For 5 rupee you're getting only 100 rupees and instead of 50 rupees you're getting 5,000. Which will you go for?
No, say the max again.
500, 50, 5,000. I put 5 rupees, I get 100 rupees.
2 zeros are missing in both, right?
2 zeros are?
Missing in both.
Are you a Gen Z in any case? You are. Either you are a millennial at least. Are you not? That's why too much question. Millennials and Gen Zs ask too much questions. It's not the zero thing. 5 rupees I put, I only get 100 rupees. 95 rupees is my margin. 50 rupees I put, I get 5,000 rupees. What is my margin? Which margin would you choose?
4,900.
But it depends on what you get. If you are having only 5, how will you put
100%, sir. But the thing is that he's a millennials. Yeah. So this is the thing. When you have a hybrid kind of audience, no, it's very entertaining because different perspective comes through. Very true. When you are having only 5 rupees, you can put. But there's a catch to it also. Put that if that's your budget. That depends upon your budget. So if you are worth to have that 50 rupees, don't compromise with the 5. Instead, go with 50 itself because you are getting a bigger, wider bandwidth. But like you mentioned, when you don't have 50, don't pull yourself for that 50 because then you are bringing a destruction to your own system because everything is a gamble, everything is a risk. When you can afford 50 or when you can stretch, the question is about stretch. If you can stretch, definitely stretch that 50. If you cannot stretch, don't take that risk. Instead, pay that 5 rupees, get that 95, take that 50 again, put 50 there, get that 5,000. Still, there is a phase. So, it's all against on the logic also. Not it's that every theory should be taken word by word. Instead, you have to understand the logic behind every theory and it again depends upon what suits us. Someone comes and tells everything, you go and apply it there, check whether it is applicable to you. Because there is something called NA, not applicable. So if it is not applicable, don't apply. Why should you waste your energy, money, time? But if it is applicable, definitely go for it. Next. Yeah. Any queries? I think I'm done. So this is a basic thing. I've not covered everything, but I've just created what is brand, how to build a brand identity. That is a phase 1. Positioning, what are the criteria you should look for, the 5 P's and all those things. How to curate the market segmentation, how to get your customer, the basic market research, how do you do it? Yeah, because in 1 hour, I think I've already exceeded 1 hour. Huh? Yeah. Usually I take 2 hours. Thank God I close within this much. Yeah. So any questions?
you said the recall?
Huh.
Is it from the special memory?
What's that?
Special memory. See, you have short-term memory,
Huh.
long-term memory,
Huh.
fast memory,
Huh.
then special memory.
Huh.
When you make a speech
Huh.
without referring anything,
Huh.
you say it is stored in the special memory.
Okay. You're talking about the recall, sir?
Ah,
Yeah, okay. So, that's a very nice question. Good audience, okay. Usually, normally I have only startups. Startups only ask about funding, raising. Sivan knows it. It's mostly about startups asking me, how do you position yourself? How is your LinkedIn working? How did you get your blue badge? These are the questions normally I get. But I'm so happy that, once a session is taken, questions based on that is something very, very, exciting. So coming to your question, recall can happen only if it is iterated. Like you said, it's a normal memory. Right now I took a class, it's there, it's a basic logic is understood, but after maybe a week or 2 days it might get wiped off. But again during another session the same thing will come up in a different scenario where you connect. And again, somewhere it iterates, maybe some other person will take it in a different scenario. So these memories actually relapse. Once all these memories collide in a point of concurrence, like rightly you said, that particular tagline will stamp, because by now that theory would have, that it would have been conceited and it would have been consumed by your brain by. So, but again, it requires iteration, or it requires again recalls where it might have to happen again and again. In some medium, it might not be me, it might be someone else, or through some, but this concept would be registered again and again. So when that happens, it will get stuck.
Okay, so my question is regarding building a brand.
Huh.
So if you want to build a brand, what sort of name will you give to it?
Brand name.
No. So in terms of Flexicloud, you know it is a cloud-based service.
Yeah.
You know it's a my care, right?
My care. Senus.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's not you know that's a healthcare caring service.
Huh.
So in the other case, if you want to name it as distillery or Xerox,
Okay.
you are naming it a completely new word.
Got it. So I have a
What sort of name should you give to your startup?
correct. I got your question. So one of my main venture, I started it. I named it Oreo. People get confused by the name Oreo. The moment I hear it, that I like to punch on the face of whoever who said it as Oreo, because it's just a word of. But Oreo is actually Ourea. So it doesn't make any sense of how it is connected to a brand. What does it do? Instead, what I did is that I bought a concept. So in a brand name itself, you can make it visible or evident what your venture is into, or else you can come up with a concept. So I bought a concept. Korea is actually a Greek word. It means mountain. So the concept is that in that mountain, Olympus gods used to come there and they used to take decisions out there. That is a story, the narrative of the mountain Oreo. So, and there were 7 gods. So I created 7 verticals solving 7 different problems. So I made it a hub of solution. So that was my brand concept. It is not that in the name itself you need to be, it should, evitably, it should, visibly present, that word should be there. For example, health or cloud. You don't need to use it exactly. You can use a name, but either you bring it in a tagline of what you do, or there is a small description or narrative that comes in, right? There you can position it well. But somewhere it should be connected.
My question was that you will not become a distillery.
Oh, you are asking about, yeah.
Yeah. ഞാൻ Xerox എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ പറയില്ലല്ലോ. Flexicloud അല്ലെങ്കിൽ so it's a industry thing or
പറയും അത് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞുതരാം. അതെങ്ങനെയാണെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ബേസിക്കലി ഡിസ്റ്റിലറി ഇറങ്ങിയ സമയത്ത് ഡിസ്റ്റിലറിക്ക് കോമ്പറ്റീറ്റേഴ്സ് അങ്ങനെ ഇല്ലായിരുന്നു. ഡിസ്റ്റിലറി വാസ് ഇൻ ദ ഫ്രണ്ട് സൈഡ്. I understood what your question is, that in today's world competition is so high that ഈ ഡിസ്റ്റിലറി പോലെയോ Xerox പോലെയോ നമുക്ക് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. In that older generation ഈ ബ്രാൻഡ്സേ അന്ന് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നുള്ളൂ. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, അത് കൂടുതൽ ആൾക്കാർ യൂസ് ചെയ്തത്, കൂടുതൽ ആൾക്കാർ ബിസ്ലറി വെള്ളം കുടിച്ചു, കൂടുതൽ ആൾക്കാർ Xerox ആണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്തത്. അത് ലെഗസി ആയിട്ട് പാസ് ചെയ്ത് അത് ആൾക്കാരുടെ സൈക്കിളിൽ വന്ന് അതൊരു യൂസേജ് ആയി മാറി. ബട്ട് ഇന്നത്തെ കാലത്ത് അങ്ങനെ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. പക്ഷേ ഇറ്റ് ക്യാൻ ബി ക്രിയേറ്റഡ്. ബ്രാൻഡ് റീകോൾസ് ക്യാൻ ബി ക്രിയേറ്റഡ്.
Same happened in ChatGPT. It created a new segment, completely new segment now. You say GPT, everything. So
You know why?
If it's a blue ocean, you could do it. Name it now.
You can do it. But there are key features for that. Why ChatGPT came into existence? How ChatGPT got that visibility? Can you tell me why ChatGPT became? Oh my God, you're the guy. Elon Musk, brand. There was a brand there. Brand can reproduce other brands. Brand can influence other brands. Elon Musk is maverick. He is the brand. He is the Elon Musk. So when Elon Musk bought it, when the ChatGPT was coming during those COVID times, he positioned it so well, he created a hype that time itself. That is the reason why Gemini can't, Google bought Gemini. Still they can't push it. Google is a big brand. Why is it ChatGPT is still ChatGPT and Gemini is here? ChatGPT is still, but now Google is competing again with Bard. They are bringing the advanced version of it. So when they started, it was ChatGPT 3.5. They have a premium segment called ChatGPT 4 where they are taking money from you. But ChatGPT came in, of course, the AI part is there, which was very new and excitement for all of us because the moment we give content, a new curated content, for everybody it was like, oh my god, I don't need to think. But the problem is that ChatGPT is not doing, not doing the right curation because there you have to come with something called prompt engineering. So prompts are very important. What you give, it rephrases. It does not give what it doesn't understand because it is not a human connect or emotion which it understands and it gives you. Instead, it's always good you give a content. That rephrasing comes in. But again, this is common to everybody because ChatGPT is accessible to everybody. So, are you creating something different? But ChatGPT is good in a way to get a structure. From that, you can curate it. So, iterations and filtrations are very important because whatever you create, using and adapting technology is always important. It is always good that you make your work easier. Don't do mundane jobs. That is the reason why we have Google Excel. Basic thing is a Google Excel sheet. From there, you are putting it into a software, getting your CRM done. But for that also, what you are entering in your Excel sheet matters, right? Because that data is yours, your requirement. CRM is something that is helping you. Similarly, ChatGPT is something which you can use for your kind of like help or assistance or something. So your question, Xerox and Bisleri, that cannot happen. But yes, the power of personal, my system, initially it came through me. Because somewhere I evolved as a personal brand. So people came from me, from there people took my service. Eventually I curated my brand separate. So I am a personal brand separate. My ventures are a different personal brands now. Then I took each of my ventures, positioned it well, came back, took my other brand. Recently I got a Series A funding from the Anooja Group. That was my startup. I placed that well. Another is another business. Oriya is another business which is already positioned as a branding company. I came as a third person, like she said, I am a seasoned entrepreneur. Today people call me a social influencer. Because I am a LinkedIn influencer. I never knew what is the influencer game. One day, HSB, one influencer marketing company told me they want me to write a post on it. She asked me what is my commercials. I'm like, putting a post, you'll give me commercials? Wow, that is nice. How much is that? Ma'am, that is your call. I'm like, and it is my manager. So I asked her, how much should we put? So we were like, I said, we'll put 2,500. She said, no ma'am, this is something different. That time we didn't know what is influencer marketing. So I told her, we'll put 5,000. You know what she did? She told her 10,000. Immediately they closed it. That time we understood this is not a 10,000 game. Today for me to put one post, they give me 30 to 35,000 for a single post. If it is a video, they even pay 50,000 bucks. From there, it evolved. I've done for more than 45 brands. But now I do for startups also because that is something not based on money, which is something which I love to promote, care-like brands. Either it is a startup business, somewhere, especially my own clients. So, this is somewhere how you evolve, phase by phase. So, you create multiple profiles. From every multiple profile, it brings revenue. So, you can be a central system of all these things. So, as a startup mentor, I have startups which comes to me for advice. I'm a top-mate consultant. So, from there, they come to me, I revert into my channelize into my brands. So once till the website is created, that's in one my company. Then it goes to my hosting company. From there, the startup is ready for investment. It goes into my third company, Pocket Save. Then it again comes back to me. Then we manage it. So you don't need to create a Xerox or Bisleri. You can adopt my approach also, but in your own way. So it's each person's system. So once you understand, so I learned branding because during COVID time, I took strategic marketing from Wharton, where Nicolajus was my mentor. He's a German professor, Harvard senior professor. He taught me a new perspective of strategic marketing. Then I took brand management from IIM. So the more you learn, the more you evolve. Then I started implementing it. I started doing trial and errors. I positioned my own company from me being startup failures. From there, I created. Today, I know what works and what doesn't work. So eventually, from a marketing person, I evolved into a brand strategist. So this is a personal journey which will evolve when we put effort. When we, like he said, the want. It's not the customers want to know. As a founder, also we have some wants. So each time we evolve, and one more thing, this is a what do you call it? This is not a destination. Every time you need to upgrade yourself. So each time, like I said, no. Initially, Shraddha Sharma was my base point. I took her Google. I checked where and all she got featured. I started from there. Today, I have covered more than her SEO pages because it's a Mallu thing. Because Mallus are very sharp with things. Whatever they learn, and it's also a women thing. Whatever we learn, we can enhance it. But the thing is that the positive side of it is you always need to open up yourself to study more.
I'm Tushar Matthew.
Yeah.
My company is called Go Gaga Entertainment.
Okay.
Okay. Now we have tried to position ourselves as the world's first eco-friendly entertainment company.
Okay.
Okay. Now that's to have a unique identity.
Okay.
Now, so we have a core identity. I'm guessing that is our core identity. Right?
I need to study it first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. But there are a few dilemmas that we have because, as you said, being unique, we have that.
Yeah.
But whether that actually is
Works
something
practically.
is something that the
Competition.
target audience wants, because it's more of a utopian concept.
I understand.
So there is a dilemma on
I
that
understand.
and a few other things. So I'll just
That you need to personally come to because
After this, there is a networking
Session.
thing.
Okay.
So
So
during
we'll take
that
it off.
you can just interact with her.
So I think it made some sense. You definitely can work out on certain points. Maybe everything might not be applicable to you, but these are the basic fundamentals of branding. If you place it, definitely, I'm sure if you apply some of the strategies, you can make at least certain areas of your venture for sure better. If you implement it, I'm sure. So go and check these points, whatever I've said. Have you implemented? There are some missing points you might have left. Give it a thought at least. Because ultimately, all of us want to be brand. Because brand is valuable. Brand makes you irreplaceable. That's the word. Brand makes you irreplaceable. Thank you.
Very much, Anooja. And now I request Mr. Tom George to give a very token of appreciation to Anooja.
This is one of my friends actually, Fabus Frames. They create portraits actually. It's beautiful. It's a startup. It's a startup.
Palace.
The founder's name is Sriga. They're based in Kandinad somewhere.
Yeah, Kandinad.
But they're in Startup Mission also. This is something very unique. You can give as your gift to your friends and all. So if you want contact, I'll give you this.